Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about the topic of productivity. Now, the last 2 to 3 years as an entrepreneur and a creator, मैंने बहुत सारी चीज़ें try की है to increase my productivity and to increase my focus. I have tried different tools, I have tried different techniques, I have tried to build different habits. और मैंने एक चीज़ realize करी है कि सारी tools, tactics और hacks जो है ना, they work. But they were not working for me because वो मेरे लिए 4-5 दिन तक काम करते थे, एक हफ्ते तक काम करते थे, और उसके बाद I used to basically, either quit using them or they basically used to fade away, right? Because बहुत ज़्यादा resistance आ रहा था in me using all those tools and tactics that I was watching on the YouTube and I was reading the articles about. तो मैंने realize करा यार कि ये सारे tools और tactics जो दूसरे लोगों के लिए काम कर रहे हैं और मेरे लिए काम नहीं कर रहे, इसका मतलब there is something fundamentally wrong about the way I am approaching the productivity. So what I did is I tried to do a lot of research and I figured out कि fundamental level पे root cause क्या है मेरे productive ना हो पाने का. What is the fundamental root cause of me not being able to focus on the task that I used to and that I was supposed to be focusing on. So that's what we are going to be talking about. In this video, I'm going to be giving you my productivity routine that I follow right now that has been working for me over a period of time now. I'm also going to be talking about some of the things जो मैं अब try कर रहा हूँ that I'm trying to incorporate in my productivity routine. These are fundamental things that I'm going to be talking about. कोई tips, hacks और tools की मैं बात नहीं करने वाला हूँ. I'm just going to be talking about the things that are working for me right now, so you get some insights out of it, and maybe you can try to incorporate these things, some of these things in your routine, and maybe you get the benefits out of it. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. So first thing that I want to talk about in order for you to increase your productivity, that helped me increase my productivity a lot, very simple, very basic, but a lot of people ignore it, is that you need to fix your sleep cycle. Sleeping properly every day is one of the most productive things that you could possibly do as a human being, right? In the world we live in, जहाँ पे तुम्हारा brain constantly stimulated है, constantly fry हो रहा है because of abundance of information that you take in every day, because of the Instagram reels you scroll, because of the YouTube videos you watch, because of the Netflix series you watch. You need to have at least 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. And if you're watching this video, there are 90% chances कि तुम्हारी sleep cycle fucked up है. Because तुम random time पे सो रहे हो, random time पे उठ रहे हो, you have no sense of what sleeping well actually means, okay? You are supposed to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours a day. Now, I was not taking even my sleep properly until last month, and now I've realized that that was one of the most important reason why I was not able to put in the work and I was not able to focus on the right things. So if your sleep cycle is fucked up, here are some of the rules that you need to follow that I am following every day. Rule number 1 is that you need to stop snoozing your alarm, okay? जितनी बार तुम अपने अलार्म को स्नूज करोगे उतनी बार उठने के बाद तुम रियलाइज करोगे that you are not feeling refreshed, you are feeling irritated and you are feeling like something's wrong, okay? It feels like कि तुम कितना भी सो लो तुम फ्रेश फील ही नहीं कर रहे हो, राइट? इट इज़ बिकॉज जब तुम अपने अलार्म को स्नूज करते हो, यू आर बेसिकली सेंडिंग सिग्नल टू योर ब्रेन that it is not the time to wake up yet. So your brain produces melatonin again, and it doesn't matter how much hours you sleep after that, you will still feel not refreshed, okay? So you need to stop snoozing your alarm. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that you need to build the habit of sleeping at the same time and waking up at the same time. Now obviously life इतनी ideally नहीं चल पाती. 80% ऑफ द टाइम्स भी अगर तुम इसको कर सकते हो, दैट यू स्लीपिंग एट द सेम टाइम एंड वेकिंग अप एट द सेम टाइम, तुम अपनी सर्कैडियन रिदम को फिक्स करोगे एंड यू विल बी एबल टू फॉल asleep effortlessly and you will be able to wake up effortlessly even without alarms. That's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is to not drink coffee after 12 p.m. in the noon, because कॉफ़ी की एक साइकिल होती है अपनी ब्लड स्ट्रीम के अंदर, एंड if caffeine is not getting out of your body before you are going on a bed for sleeping, then you will not be able to sleep properly. That caffeine will hinder your sleep quality. And that is why the rule number 3 is to not drink coffee after 12 p.m. in the noon. That's rule number 3. Rule number 4 is no overhead lights after sunset. ये मैंने नई चीज़ अपने प्रोडक्टिविटी रूटीन में इनकॉर्पोरेट करी है. दैट असेंशियली आइडिया ये है कि तुम्हें अपने रूफ की, अपने सीलिंग की जितनी भी लाइट्स है वो सारी बंद कर देनी है आफ्टर सनसेट. द बेसिक फंडामेंटल आइडिया इज कि तुम्हारी आई लेवल के नीचे लाइट्स जलनी चाहिए आफ्टर सनसेट, बिकॉज तुम्हारी आई के बॉटम पार्ट पे देर आर सम सेल्स दैट आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू सेंड सिग्नल्स टू योर बॉडी दैट इट्स टाइम टू स्टे अवेक, ओके? तो अगर ऊपर से लाइट आ रही है और तुम्हारी आंखों पे पड़ रही है, दैट मीन्स यू आर सेंडिंग द सिग्नल टू योर ब्रेन दैट इट्स टाइम टू बी अवेक एंड इट्स नॉट the time to sleep yet. That's why after research I figured out it's better to kind of lower the lights of your living room and your room and kind of keep all the lights below your eye level. That will allow you to sleep proper because the light will not fall directly on the cells which are under your eyes, which are responsible to keep you awake. Rule number 5 is I usually wake up at 6:30 or 7 a.m. and I go to in the garden in my lobby of my building, and I will soak sunlight for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, not more. 5 to 10 minutes is more than enough to kind of take that morning sun in, because there are a lot of photons inside sunlight which will signal your body that it's time to wake up and it's time to get to the work, right? That's rule number 5. Rule number 6 is after sunset, I apply blue light filters on any device that I'm using. It'd be my phone, it'd be my laptop, it'd be my iPad. On my Apple ecosystem, in my MacBook, in my iPad, and in my phone, I turn on night shift, which basically blocks blue light from the screens that comes out, and my eyes are protected by blue light. So blue light is basically responsible for kind of keeping you awake again. So the idea is to block as much blue light as I possibly can after sunset, so I'm able to sleep properly. Now, if you do all these things right, and if you do these things consistently, what will happen is after sunset, your body will start producing melatonin. Now, melatonin is a hormone which is responsible for keeping you asleep, okay, which will make you sleep. Basically, so melatonin is important, and if it is not getting produced in your body in the right quantity, you will not be able to sleep properly. So if you follow these rules properly and consistently, you will realize that you will be sleeping like a baby. And if you are sleeping properly, you are basically recovering your body properly, you are recharging your body properly, and because of that, you will be able to focus properly. Your focus will increase, your productivity will increase drastically. Second thing that I want to talk about is workout and diet. Workout and diet is probably one of the most important things when it comes to increasing your productivity and focus, because your body is a temple. Okay, if you are not treating your body like a temple and you're putting every garbage that you find in terms of chips, in terms of soda inside your body, then you're not going to be able to focus properly. Okay, people will eat McDonald's 3 times a day and then be like, okay, why my productivity is not increasing? They will eat McDonald's, Domino's 3 times a day, and then they'll be like, okay, I'm using this tool, but this tool is not working for me. Well, it's not going to be working for you because fundamentally you're not taking care of your body. And if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not putting right things in your stomach, you're not going to be able to focus properly. You need to be in the right state of mind. You need to kind of feed your body properly to be able to be productive and to be able to focus properly. Okay, so what I essentially do is there are certain things that I like to follow in terms of working out and in terms of following my diet. Okay, so I will not make it complex, but I'll quickly tell you what I do. So first thing, I try to work out 3 to 4 times a week, because if I'm working out, I'm basically feeling energized, I'm getting strong, right hormones are getting released in my body, which is responsible for making me focus properly. That's number 1. Number 2, I try to avoid processed sugar and alcohol. Very important, because it just attacks my immune system. That's number 2. Number 3, I try to keep my lunch low in carb, because if I'm eating dal, rice and 4 chapati in lunch, and if I'll sit down on my desk to work, obviously I'm not going to be able to work and focus, because my blood sugar level are spiked through the roof, and because of that my body just want to sleep now, right? So I try to keep my lunch low in carb. That's number 3. Number 4 is I do not eat anything until lunch. I only drink black coffee until lunch, because that window from 7 a.m. to around 1 p.m. is the window where I am at my peak focus, because nothing is inside my body. And if as soon as I eat, let's say poha, or I eat, let's say muesli, every now and then there is some sort of sugar, some sort of carbs inside my body. So my peak productivity will decrease a bit. So I try to skip breakfast and directly go to the lunch, which I take around 1 to 2 p.m. right? So that's number 4. Another thing that I do is I try to intake 1.2 grams to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of my body weight. So I'm kind of getting those calories that are not going to be burning as fast as carbohydrates and sugar. So I have the energy that I required throughout the day, right? And I'm able to focus on the right things with the right focus. Apart from all this, what I also like to do is I like to track everything that I'm eating every day inside an app called MyFitnessPal in my iPhone. The idea is to track how much protein I'm eating, how much carbs and sugar I'm intaking, how much sodium I'm intaking, so I can kind of change things and optimize things accordingly. And I'm able to optimize and iterate my workout and diet properly, because it's important. My body is my temple. If I do not take care of it properly, it's not going to give me the focus that I want out of it, right? So that's what I do. Third thing that I want to talk about is clarity, right? A lot of people would sit down on their desk, वो random चीजों पे काम करेंगे without any clear direction, and then they would be like, okay, I'm not able to get the work done. Bro, you don't even know what you're supposed to work on. Okay, without clarity, productivity is basically a myth. Okay, it's almost like saying ki I will go somewhere, okay, and you don't even know where you're going to go and where you're supposed to go, right? When you know exactly where you're supposed to go, you take your car out of your parking, you go to Google Maps, you type the destination, and you then drive following the route that Google Maps show you. Okay, if you do not even know where you're supposed to go, you will go on random roads, you will take the turns, you will kind of fuck around, and they will come back to your home. Okay, and there will be no sense of time, there will be no sense of how much efforts you want to put in which direction. And that is why clarity is of utmost importance. अगर तुम्हें ये नहीं पता कि तुम्हें किस चीज के तरफ काम करना है, then forget about productivity. First figure out ki what are you working on. Okay, for the first 1.5 and 2 years मुझे यही नहीं पता था what am I supposed to do. किसी दिन मैं YouTube वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कर रहा था, किसी दिन मैं Instagram रील रिकॉर्ड कर रहा था, किसी दिन मैं रैंडम एजेंसी पे काम कर रहा था, एंड आई हैड नो आइडिया कि मैं किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहा हूँ, मुझे एक्जैक्टली करना क्या है, what is important for me, what is not important for me, right? So if you are not being able to focus on the right things, if you're not working properly, if you're not being productive, majority of the times the reason is that you're not clear about what you're supposed to do. Once you know exactly what you're going for, you will know what are the tasks that you need to complete to go towards it, and once you know the tasks that you need to complete, you will be able to converge your focus on those tasks, and you will be able to get the work done, which will result in increased productivity. So you need to be very clear about what you're aiming at, because if you don't know about that, productivity is a myth for you. Fourth thing that I want to talk about is blocking all the distractions and stimulation, right? The misery of the modern world and social media is that there are so many tech devices and there is so much information that our brains are always stimulated, okay? And if you're able to keep yourself away from the distractions, instantly तुम्हारी productivity peak हो जाएगी, because your brain first will get bored and then it would be like, अच्छा ठीक है, let's do something, right? Because the brain is always trying to get some sort of dopamine and is always trying to achieve something. But what happens with the stimulation and the devices we use is कि तुम्हें dopamine बैठे बैठे मिल रहा है, right? So what you need to do as a person, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a creator, you need to block all the distractions and you need to limit the stimulation that you're giving to your brain, okay? And so there are 4 things that I essentially do to block the distractions and stimulation to my brain. Number 1 is I do not use my phone until 12 p.m. or around the lunchtime, because when I wake up till 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., that's the holy time, okay? That's the time when I actually put in the work on the right things, so I'm basically moving forward and I'm getting ahead in my life, okay? So I do not use any phone. I only use my laptop. That's the only screen that I'm using until lunchtime. So that's the first thing that I do. Number 2 is blank YouTube home feed, okay? Now, as an entrepreneur, I'm constantly figuring out the ways, the tactics and strategies to move forward, so I can basically, do right things at the right time before somebody else in the industry. So the idea would be to do a lot of research, right? And research happens on YouTube. But what happens is, if I go to youtube.com today and if I see 100 videos, it's very easy. It's simple to click on the random video and watch the random podcast for, let's say, 15 minutes, okay? So to remove that distraction, I use a Chrome extension called Unhook. Basically what it does is it blackouts my YouTube's home feed. That means I cannot see any random recommended video on YouTube. I can only use YouTube when I'm searching something. So I search, I type my query, and then videos pop up and then I watch those videos, because those are going to be helping me get ahead from A to B. Okay, so that's the only way I use YouTube. It blocks all the distraction. The thumbnails are getting insane. It's so juicy. It's so stimulating that it's not hard for anybody to click on any random video and waste 50 minutes or 1 hour of our day's time, right? So that's the second thing that I do when it comes to blocking the distractions and stimulation. Third thing that I do and like to do most of the times is that I keep my iPhone on grayscale mode, okay? Now there is a feature in iPhone by the name color filters, where you can basically press your power button 3 times and your entire iPhone screen will become black and white, right? The idea is to block all the colors. The brain gets stimulated by colors, okay? So if I'm able to block the colors, I'm basically seeing Instagram, which looks black colored logo, right? So I'm not even motivated to click on it because my brain is not stimulated enough. And even if I end up opening Instagram, the Instagram feed gets so boring after 5 minutes or so. I was like, fuck it, like I don't want to see it, because majority of the times the brain is getting stimulated and getting the dopamine because of the colors and the visuals, okay? So I try to keep my iPhone on grayscale mode. Fourth rule that I have when it comes to blocking the distractions and stimulation is that I turn off all the notifications on my iPhone on all the apps. I turn off all the notifications on my Mac. I turn off all the notifications on my iPad, so I'm not getting distracted by random bullshit notifications. Now, fifth thing that I want to talk about is deep work, okay? Deep work is a state that not a lot of people have been able to achieve in the world we live in because of the stimulation and distractions that we've talked about. Once you have followed the first 4 steps that I've talked about, that means you have fixed your sleep cycle, you are taking care of workout and diet, you have the clarity in terms of which direction you want to work towards, and you have blocked the distraction and stimulation, that's when you will be able to experience what I call as the deep work, the flow of deep work. In this state, nothing matters, okay? The time passes by and you won't even notice, right? You will sit on the desk at 11 a.m. and the time would be 4 p.m. and you won't even realize. You will just be so obsessed about the work that you're doing. You will be so immersed in the work that you're doing, and you will be getting so much done that it almost a never-ending loop of working on something and feeling good about it, working on something and feeling good about it, right? But the problem is, you are not able to do it, right? You're not able to get in that state of deep work, okay? So when you basically follow the first four things that I talk about. What I wanted to do is, and that I do is that I sit down on my desk in the morning with my black coffee and I turn on the timer. Okay. So whenever you sit down to work, turn on the timer for 1 hour and work straight. Okay. Whenever you get distracted, pause the timer. Okay. Whenever you kind of wake up and go to, let's say, pee or drink water, pause the timer. Okay. Try to put in 1 hour of work. Okay. When the timer is in front of you, you will subconsciously tell yourself that, okay, I am not supposed to get distracted. I am supposed to put in the work. Okay. Start by 1 hour timers, take 15-20 minutes break after every 1 hour of the timer, and then try to increase the deep work sessions by 10 minutes every day or every week. Okay. Now I am at a state where I can sit down for at least 2 to 3 hours in one go and I can put in the deep work. Okay. And you will realize if you are able to put in the deep work for at least 4 to 5 hours a day, you will be able to get done all of your work. You'll sit down on a desk and you'll be like, Acha, what should I do now? What should I do next? Okay. And you will almost feel guilty for not working because you've already got done all the work because you were able to sit down on a desk with focus, focusing on the right things, and you were able to get the work done. Right. So deep work is one of the small pleasures of life. Not small, I would say one of the biggest pleasures of life, to be able to feel that, emotion and that hormonal release inside your body of being able to building something on your own by sitting in the corner of your room, right? So deep work is something that you need to focus on. Track the amount of productive hours you are clocking in, okay? Because if you do not track it, you will not be able to know how to optimize it, right? Next thing that I want to talk about is you need to eliminate context switching, okay? This is a very important thing again, because as an entrepreneur and a creator myself, when I'm creating content on all the different platforms, when I have teams that I need to talk to, when I have different hiring calls I have to make, I have to talk to my clients in my agency, I need to, fix sales and operations in my agency. There are so many moving pieces on any given day that it's very easy for me to kind of think about one thing for 5 minutes and then move to another thing for 5 minutes. And if I keep doing that in the entire day, my entire day will go away and I won't be able to put in any productive work. I won't be able to clock in any productive hours, right? So it's important for me to block the time and my calendar based on the projects that I'm working on, okay? And when I'm working on the particular project, I'm not going to be thinking about any other thing. I'm not going to be thinking about the life I'm going to be living 10 years from now. I'm not going to be thinking about the travel that I'm going to be doing next week. I'm not going to be thinking about the vacation that I'm going to be taking, right? The idea is to just think about that one project I'm working on and working on it without getting distracted, okay? A lot of people that I talk to, what they do is they keep context switching. Okay, they're like, okay, now I need to create a strategy for YouTube, right? After 5 minutes, they are watching a video on how to grow on Instagram. Then they're talking about how to start an agency, right? So what you're basically doing is you're fragmenting the bandwidth of your brain. Okay, once you're doing this, for 5 minutes you're doing this, for 5 minutes you're doing this. So your brain is not able to process all the thoughts, okay, because it doesn't have sufficient information on any end and it is not able to drive any conclusive points. So when you're not able to drive any conclusive points after doing so many things, you get even more irritated. You get frustrated that I'm putting in the work, I'm doing so many things, but I'm still not getting anything out of it. Well, you're not getting anything out of it is because you're not giving enough time to your brain to think and process the information of the one thing and the one project you're working on. So what you need to do is you need to stop context switching, okay? Pick one project, pick one task, converge 100% of your focus to it and just get it done. Once it's done, then move to another thing and then think about it. So you need to limit context switching. The more context switching you do, the less productive you will be. Okay, so last but not the least, it's you need to get 1% better every day. Okay, the misery of entrepreneurship, building a business or being a creator, that it's very easy for you to compare yourself with somebody else. It's easy for you to compare your day 1 with somebody's day 1000. And when you do that, when you do the comparison, what ends up happening is तुम्हें ऐसा लगता है कि मैं जो काम कर रहा हूँ वो तो irrelevant है यार, ये छोटा सा काम है, ये लोग इन लोगों को देखो ये क्या-क्या चीजें कर रहे हैं, वाह वाह, right? So you're basically telling your brain कि what you're doing is irrelevant, and when you do that, you basically procrastinate. तुम्हें लगता है कि मैं जो कर रहा हूँ उसकी तो कोई वर्थ ही नहीं है, then what's the point? And that is why comparison is misery. You need to stop comparing yourself with random people of the internet, and you're supposed to focus on yourself. You need to look at yourself 10 days ago. You need to look at yourself how you were 2 months from now, and you just need to focus on getting 1% better every day in everything that you're doing, okay? 1% better in terms of recording the videos, 1% better in terms of posting Instagram reels, 1% better in building the business, 1% better in sales, 1% better in marketing, 1% better in doing the research, 1% better in reading the book. If you can get 1% better every day in everything that you do in your life, and you can do it consistently for 6 months, your life will change. Okay. Those are 7 of the most important things that I think have helped me to stay productive 98% of the times in my day and in my week, and as I'm working as an entrepreneur. आई होप तुम्हें वीडियो पसंद आया और तुम्हें बहुत सारे एक्शनेबल पॉइंट्स मिले होंगे. ट्राई इनकॉर्पोरेटिंग सम ऑफ दीज इन योर रूटीन. डू नॉट ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट ऑल द थिंग्स दैट आई हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट एट वंस. स्टार्ट स्लो, पिक सम थिंग्स, get consistent with them and then add new things. Okay, that's all for this video. I hope तुम्हें productivity routine पसंद आया होगा. If you want more videos like these, मुझे comment करके बताओ what do you want me to talk about. And if you're watching me for the first time, subscribe to the channel. That's all for this video. I'll see you next week.